is Dr Trudi Deakin from X-PERT Health, and I've obviously done my research, and even though I've met Trudi before only briefly, I just thought I'd share with you her amazing achievement so that you know exactly where she's come from. I know I could ask her to do this herself, but she's probably very modest and wouldn't share all the information I'm going to share. So she's the Chief Executive X-PERT Health and specialises in research, development, implementation and audit of structured education for the public and healthcare professionals internationally. She has a degree in Nutrition and Dietetics. I think I've said that right. She has teaching qualifications. She has a doctorate in diabetes, behaviour change and self-management education. She's the founder of X-PERT Health. She is the author of the original portfolio of X-PERT programs. She has trained over 1,500 healthcare professionals to become expert educators. She's demonstrated that the implementation of the X-PERT program is a cost-saving strategy. And her ambition is to further develop professional and patient education systems that increase competencies to enable people to successfully prevent or manage long-term health conditions, improving health and well-being and saving healthcare costs. She's a fellow at the University of Hertfordshire. She's a founding member of the Public Health Collaboration. So, well, welcome and good morning. My question to you, Trudi, is how do you relax?
With a glass of wine.
Oh, well, I'm with him on that one. I'm with him on that one.
It has to be red wine, a glass of red wine with the evening meal at night. That helps me to relax.
Yeah, and wine is good for us, isn't it?
In moderation, yes. So red wine is full of polyphenols, which are like antioxidants. And so, you know, it's like one of those U-shaped curves that too much of anything is not good for you. But drinking wine in moderation has been shown to have health benefits.
My favourite red wine is 3 Mils.
I've heard of that one. Yeah, I do like Pinot Noir.
All right, okay. Well, at least we have one thing in common. So next time
Yes,
we'll chink a glass together.
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you a question, please? It says you specialise in the research and development, implementation and audit structured education for the public and healthcare professionals internationally. What does that involve?
Right. So I started off working in the NHS as a registered dietitian and always being interested in the prevention and management of diabetes. And my research started by, I was doing 9 clinics a week and patients were coming in and seeing me and I was giving clips of information in the time that was allowed. And they were going off and coming back for a follow-up appointment and they weren't managing the diabetes. And so I started to ask them, I was thinking, well, where are we going wrong with this? So I started to ask them, what information would you like? And how would you like that to be delivered? And what I heard loud and clear is that they wanted to understand their condition better. So I started to run group education sessions and evaluated them and ran focus groups and made visual aids to help that understanding. And as a result of that, I developed a 6-week X-PERT diabetes program and evaluated it with a clinical trial. So the research started by me being frustrated in not helping people manage the diabetes. And so the research then grew to evaluating a clinical trial to see if the X-PERT program was effective, and also kind of reviewing, we call it a systematic review, reviewing all the evidence out there that's been done around education for people with diabetes and seeing what the strong take-home points were. So I published that as well separately. But once you develop something, you can't stop researching then. So research becomes part of your life. So as you implement a program, you want to see if it continues to be effective. So that's where the audit comes in. We audit all our programs to make sure that we're achieving what we want to achieve. Are we improving people's health? Are we improving people's well-being? And now we're even auditing prescribed medication, because we saw in the clinical trial that we could reduce the amount of prescribed medication that people were having. And so we continue to audit that too. So research is huge. It goes from researching what patients need and want, right through to development, and then researching and auditing the results. But because we really pride ourselves on our programs being up to date with the latest evidence base, you're constantly researching what the evidence is. And so we've got a database, and we're constantly looking at the published literature to see certainly on the lifestyle elements of what's effective in helping people to improve their health. So research is massive.
That's really interesting, because obviously, as a layman, I've obviously found myself researching what should I be doing, what am I doing, and is what I'm doing working, and what works and what doesn't work. And that's opened up a huge sort of new world of interest for me, because at the end of the day, you start off by doing something and you don't really know what you're doing. But going back to weight loss, if you like, and I'll start there, there's lots of people out there who would sort of go in it alone, and maybe don't feel that the system, I'll use the word system, doesn't cater for the needs properly. So do you feel that the system is working for the people, or do you have to work outside of the system in order to get a better message across?
I think the system tries to give simplistic messages, and one simplistic message that is given for helping people to lose weight is eat less, move more. But we know that it's much more complex than that, and simply trying to eat less and move more doesn't work for everybody. And one thing that we've really, really identified is that one size doesn't fit all. And so the system doesn't help people with that. So there's different dietary approaches that are effective. And what we try to do is work with individuals to help them increase their knowledge and understanding, and more importantly, their confidence, for them to experiment and find out what works for them. And what works for them doesn't necessarily work for somebody else. And so it's all about developing the knowledge, skills, and understanding and confidence so people can do that. Find out what works for me, what helps me lose weight. And that's more importantly than anything else. And I think the system largely misses out on that really important point.
One of the things that I advocate is journaling, because I think you have to find out what you're doing and find out how that affects your body, how it affects you, and obviously work within parameters of good practice. There's no point in, well, if you can eat what you want and get on the scales every day, and if you see that your weight is increasing or that your health is getting worse, then you've got to look at what you're eating and you're seeing the results of what you're eating. So that's what we advocate, is journaling. And with a very simple message, I have your books here, and I want to talk to you obviously more about that. These books here, I think these are an invaluable aid, extremely well illustrated inside, easy to follow. Reminds me of when I was a kid. I love reading books with pictures and diagrams and arrows in it. I can't read a book. So as a child, I had Treasure Island given to me and never read it. Never, ever read it. So with all your degrees, with nutrition and diet and dietetic, how do you feel about other organizations who offer weight loss programs? Is everyone on the same page, do you think?
No, I don't think everybody. I think there is some common themes where everybody is on the same page. So it's largely recognised that sugar's bad for us, ultra-processed foods are bad for us, and that movement and being more active is good for us. So some really common themes. And then there's areas where not all the organisations agree. And I think that's largely down to unawareness and keeping abreast of the latest evidence and vested interest as well. So there's a lot, it's very complex. There's a lot of things that take place. But I think when you're an organisation that does review the evidence on a regular basis, then you can put out simple and consistent messages to help the public.
I totally agree. And, you know, I was looking at your website, as I do quite frequently. Can I just share a screen? Can I just share that with our viewers out there?
Absolutely.
You have got quite a few aids, haven't you? You've got books, which I've shown. You've got support groups. You've got coach training. Can you just talk us through this, please, Judy?
Yes, so we're now accredited health coaching body. So you may have heard of the Personalised Care Institute, and we've got a health coaching course which is accredited by them, and we're now accredited health coaches. And sometimes people develop the knowledge, but putting that knowledge into practice is difficult for people. So having coaching sessions, so we deliver group coaching sessions, really help people to set their goals and put them into place. We also do one-to-ones as well. So we do the group coaching, but we also do the one-to-ones, which is 60 minutes, but it can be broken down to 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And then the handbooks, the X-PERT Diabetes is a handbook, which is for the prevention of diabetes, but also the management of type 2 diabetes. And as you say, it's very visual, because a picture speaks 1,000 words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a common language as well. And then we've got the X-PERT Insulin Handbook, which is for type 2s on insulin and type 1s as well. Now, we've got the strapline of reduce or omit, because now we're seeing a lot of people with type 2 diabetes through lifestyle being able to significantly reduce their insulin requirement, or perhaps come off it altogether. And then type 1s, clearly they can't come off their insulin, but we are seeing reductions of insulin by about 50% when people make lifestyle changes. And that's really good for some individuals, because often what we see in type 1 diabetes is what we call double diabetes later on in life, where they've obviously got the type 1 diabetes, so they've got the insulin insufficiency, but as they go through life, if they're giving themselves large doses of insulin, then they can develop the insulin resistance, and so develop some part of the type 2 diabetes as well. So by simply, making lifestyle changes and being able to reduce their insulin, it helps their longevity and health in the future. And then the Eat Fat book is a step-by-step guide to low-carb living. So it talks about all the benefits from adopting a carbohydrate-restricted diet, and then it takes through a step-by-step approach to help people adopt that lifestyle. And we call it a lifestyle because sometimes if people think of it as a diet is often something that they either go on for a short period of time and then go off. And then any improvements that people have seen by adopting it can disappear. So it needs to be a lifestyle for long term. So for example, I've been on a low carb diet now or a low carb dietary approach for 8.5 years, and it is just now my lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm just entering my 5th year now of low carb, low fat, and 1 meal a day, and I've done extended fasting as well. But that's amazing. So all these items are out there, and I want the people on Local Loafer to know, and I'm sure that'd be okay with you, Trudi, that they can make use of these, can't they? Can buy them, can't they?
Yes, they can. And we also have group programs as well. So if they buy a book but they also want more support, we do the 6-week expert diabetes and expert insulin programs that they can log on to and take part in. And that's group education that's delivered virtually. So we do that when we're doing it outside the NHS. We do that via Zoom because we found that actually people prefer Zoom to Teams to find it easier.
Yeah. You've also got here, I mean, I'm showing your Expert Health Educator page here. So these are the different, perhaps talk us through this if you don't mind, please.
Okay, so because I've already discussed about how we audit implementation, so when we train up educators get username and login password, and they can go into either the diabetes audit database, or we've got the expert weight program as well. And the expert weight program is a 12-week, what we call a tier 2 weight management program. And so we audit both. So the educator or the admin who are helping the educator deliver the programs go into the audit databases and they put in the baseline results. So we audit things like weight circumference. And then if it's diabetes, we also audit the measure, the HbA1c or glycated hemoglobin, what we measure diabetes control over, and also blood pressure and the lipid profiles, so the triglycerides, the HDL, and things like that. So we put in the baseline results, and then we can put in the 6-week results, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and the database will then generate a report of the means, so the averages for any time frame. And so you can see how the program is being effective. So you can say that the mean weight loss is, for example, with the weight program at 12 weeks, the mean weight loss is about 4.5 kilos. So 4.5 to 5 kilos, which is what, about 8 to 10 pounds at 12 weeks. So that's telling us that it's being effective. And it also gives the strength of that result as well, how confident, the 95% confidence interval, so how confident we are that that is a true result and not happened by chance. And then the digital resources, so the bottom line there in the middle, because vision is so powerful when you're helping people to develop an understanding, then the digital resource. So we started off, when I initially developed the program, I designed labels to go on a magnetic board. And so the educators were trained for every piece of information, they'd ask for a response. And as they were going through an activity, they'd be putting magnets onto a board to help the vision of that topic, to get that light bulb moment. And then with COVID and the group educations face-to-face stopped, and it was replaced by the remote education where we were doing it, people were sat in their own homes. It was very difficult to have a magnetic board behind you and put the labels on. So we designed these digital boards, and so there's probably about 20 different digital boards that explore common topics like what is diabetes, nutrition for health, reading and understanding food labels, physical activity. And so I could demonstrate that. I don't think you'll have signing on yours, but I could demonstrate if you wanted to on my own laptop.
Yeah, please do. So
this is for the Expert Diabetes program. You can see that there's all these digital boards to share. Session 1, what is diabetes, session 2. So you can see the whole range of different digital boards there. So if I just go into session 1 and to the what is diabetes screen. Now this used to be a magnetic board, and but now the labels are in a holding bay and the design from the magnetic board is on a screen. And so you can start off by saying, okay, then when we eat food, this is a sandwich, it breaks down into 3 nutrients. Do you know what those 3 nutrients are? So you ask the group and you get a response, and then you put this screen on, so this label on. So when we digest food, it breaks down into carbohydrate, protein, and fat. But only one of those nutrients directly impacts on blood glucose levels. Which one is it? So, of course, we know that it's glucose. So it breaks down to glucose in the stomach and the gut, and the glucose goes into the blood. So that allows you to talk about what normal blood glucose levels are. So put in the glucose in the blood now, we'll put 5 in, and we'll put 5 in because normal blood glucose levels are between 3.5 and 7.8. If people are on hypoglycemic agents and a risk of hypo, we say the lower floor is 4, but the actual physiological range is between 3.5 and 7.8.
Unless you say one size doesn't fit all, so there has to be some deviation, even though the average, you can have an average, but with different deviations.
Yeah. And so what do we use glucose for? We use it for energy, but can we use it for energy when it's in the blood? No, it has to go somewhere. So where does it go? It has to go into the body cell. And when it goes into the body cell, it converts into energy and we can go about our daily activities. But what is needed to get that glucose into the cell? Then it's insulin. We make insulin in the beta cells in the pancreas, and I've got it here looking like a key. Why have I got it looking like a key? Because it actually moves in the blood to the cells and it unlocks. Can you see that? It fits perfectly, keyhole, unlocks the door, allows the glucose to leave the blood, go into cell, get converted to energy, and we can go about our daily activities. But what goes wrong with pre-diabetes, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes, simply they stop making the insulin. And so then they have to inject the insulin to do the same job. Bit more complicated with pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes because that's a condition of what we call hyperinsulinemia. There's too much insulin. Insulin is a weight-promoting or an energy storage hormone, a weight-promoting hormone, so that then can cause the cells to become overweight. When the cells are overweight, the keyhole has changed shape, so you need even more insulin to do the same problem. So whether people have got pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, or type 1 diabetes, then the result is blood glucose levels rise. And then people can become symptomatic, the thirst and the excessive urine. And so the body tries to get rid of that extra glucose. And they do that by flushing it out through the kidneys into the urine. So a bit like a waterfall, really, because people start urinating more frequently. And so that is a very quick example of how we have interaction in the groups, but people learn through the process of vision. Have I provided enough information there?
Yeah, that's absolutely fabulous, Trudi. Yeah, that's great. So obviously, you're focusing here on type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, and you're educating people. We find, obviously, because we are, and I'll just talk a little bit about local author, it sort of happened, it didn't happen by design, it happened by intervention, really, through my own situation. And I sort of had to figure things out for myself and find out what worked, what didn't work. And I ended up with, if you like, doing one meal a day. And I realized that if I had to cut down my food intake, eating one meal a day was a good way of reducing my intake. And I was aware already, because I'd been on the Atkins diet many years before, and I tried Slimming World, and that worked, but had a modicum of success. Anyway, so I ended up running support groups for Joanne McCormack, who I met following seeing her on YouTube. And so local author came about as a result of my own experience. But, I'm sort of making it up as we go along, really, to be honest with you. And like you say, one size doesn't fit all. And as you have a degree in nutrition, I feel it's okay and safe to ask you. What we advocate is keeping the carbohydrates low to manage the blood glucose levels. but a lot of people are sort of keto aware, and the standard per se ketogenic diet has put a lot of fat on your plate. I discovered that stalls weight loss. Because whilst you can be in ketosis, eating all that fat, you're not making the ketones from the fat that's on your body. And I discovered that myself. And so therefore, whereas the ketogenic diet is low carbohydrate, high fat, and we just keep protein out of the equation for a moment, I sort of, broke the box and went out and said, keep your carbs low, keep your fat low, so that your blood sugar levels are controlled, and keep the fat low so that you can use up your own body fat for producing the ketones. And then when you get to where you want to be, you can either, it's a balancing act, and I've got a video on this. It's like, doing a hill stack. You have to go up a little bit, come down a bit. So you can either eat more fat or eat a few more carbohydrates, And so what's your thought on local loafer, please, if I can ask you that?
Right. So, yeah, I absolutely agree that if people restrict carbohydrate, it immediately helps their blood glucose levels. But if they're eating too much fat, it stalls their fat loss, because when you're using energy, if people are wanting, if their aim is to lose weight, then the only way they can lose weight is by using their stored fat in their body as an energy source. And so if they're putting too much fat in their mouth, they're going to use that fat for energy and not the fat stored in their body. So you're absolutely right. So it's about people making sure that they reduce their fat intake to allow them to lose weight. So that means weighing themselves, daily, if that doesn't cause anxiety, or certainly weekly, to make sure that they are achieving their weight loss goals. So that is, you're right. And protein is something, I think that's the most important nutrient we can eat, because protein gives people that satiety. It gives them that feeling of fullness. So basing their meal on protein and then adding the low carb veggies or the green veggies and things like that is a really effective way for people to lose weight. And like you say, some individuals find that having just 1 or 2 meals a day is also very, very effective for them. So, there's no need at all. People often say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but that is a myth probably developed by, cereal companies. Because what happens as we're waking in the morning, one of the stress hormones called cortisol peaks. And what that stress hormone does is that it tells our body to release energy into our circulation to prepare us for our waking period. So our liver throws out some glucose into our blood to give us kind of a spurt of energy. And so our body is fed first thing in the morning when we're waking, whether you eat breakfast or not. And so, not eating allows our body to utilize our fat stores for energy. It helps people to lose weight. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for that, because people have said to me, well, what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is bad, it's unsafe and all that. And this is my answer. If your opinion isn't based on evidence or experience, then I'm not interested. Right. And that might sound a bit harsh, but we don't go with hearsay. My brother told me that we need to do this. And another, I'm not going to try and catch you out on this one, Trudi. Another pet hate of mine is people talking about calories, because there's no such thing as a calorie. It doesn't exist. It's a result of an experiment in a laboratory where they burn food and they measure the amount of heat that the temperature increase in the water in the calorimeter, because a calorie is the amount of heat required to raise 1 gram of water through 1 degree centigrade, whereas the old British thermal unit was the pound of water through 1 degree Fahrenheit. So its thermodynamics has got nothing to do with the way our body operates. And this, I still see it today, only 27 calories. But just look at the label on the back. It's scary. The number of carbohydrates, and as you know, David Unwin's infographics, very easy formula, divide by 4 and gives you teaspoonfuls, and that paints a lovely picture in your face and say, do you really want to be eating all that sugar? Do you realize what you're doing? And I think that's the problem that people have, is that they don't really know what they're doing. They haven't got a clue what they're doing to themselves because there's so much misinformation out there.
Then that's such a shame. I think the main message is eat a nutrient-dense diet. And what do we mean by that? It means choosing foods that either don't have a label on them because the food is the thing itself, so there's only one ingredient, or, you know, if it has got a package, fewer than 5 ingredients, you know, and making sure that sugars aren't anywhere on that label whatsoever. And, you know, you're talking about fasting. When you break your fast, then I'm sure that you eat a nutrient-dense diet.
I eat hot salads. You know, right. A hot salad?
Yeah.
Stir fries.
Right.
People say to me, you know, I can't make a stir fry. And I say, well, can you make a salad? Yeah. Well, everything that you put in a salad, you can eat. You know, everything you can eat raw, you can cook. You can put your courgettes in the salad. I mean, you wouldn't eat mushrooms raw. I take that point. But everything else, like I've even, you know, we buy bags of lettuce sometimes, and they think, oh, this has gone a bit brown around the edges. That doesn't frighten me. I just throw it in my stir fry. You know, bean sprouts. I just love bean sprouts, and we cook in ghee, so we don't use the standard vegetable oils. But it's been really, really wonderful having you here with us this morning, and I'm sure that everybody who's watching this video, our time together, will be heading over to X-PERT Health. Now, one of the things that I noticed, and I saw on your website, was, and I'll read it here. Yeah, you invite companies to work with you. Now, I know that you're talking about big corporates, like the big organizations out there who have workforce, who have type 2 diabetes and other health issues. And I know, are you saying that you want to get into these companies?
We're very much into collaboration. I think you can achieve. So we're a registered charity. We're quite small, and I think you can achieve so much more by working with people. And so we're very happy to hear from people who would like to work with us, because by joining together to achieve a mission, then by joining together in more companies, you can achieve it better. So we're very, very willing to hear from people who would like to work with us to get the evidence-based nutritional information out there to help the public to achieve their health goals.
How might we, local OFA, is there any space, is there any way that we could work together without losing our identities, obviously, you know, but could we become bigger and better friends in that sense?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure we can continue to have this conversation and look at ways that it would benefit, you know, everybody. So, yeah, I'm sure there's an opportunity there, definitely. And like you say, I think tracking is the most important thing, and it's been shown in a lot of research trials to be beneficial to help people achieve their health goals, monitoring their health results and tracking them. Yeah, and if we can help and, you know, work with you to help people to do that, that would be great.
When we're obese, and I was 20 stone 5, I was massive. That was me in 2019. But I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, and we don't give medical advice. We do Zoom support group meetings twice a week. And I know that a lot of people get a lot out of it. And it's important to have support, as you know yourself.
Yeah. Having that support when people are trying to change their lifestyle, having that support is vital, isn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, well, Trudi, I really, really thank you for your time today.
Lovely speaking to you.
Thank you so much indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope that we can do it again. And maybe next time, with your permission, we can have an open meeting and let people come into the room, and you know, you can hold a meeting with our people and see what happens. Would you be up for that?
That would be fine. Yes. Yep.
Okay, so we'll have a chat about that. So I just want to thank you, Trudi, for being with us today, and I want to thank everybody for watching this video. And please put your comments in the box below, because I know Trudi, you do look in on local health. I know you do, because X-PERT Health is a member of the group. And so if you want to get in touch with Trudi, would they be able to do that, Trudi? How would they do that?
Absolutely fine, that's fine, yeah. And all our contact detail is on the website as well, so they go on the website, then they can contact us via the website.
I love you all, and thank you for watching, and thanks for being with us. So thanks again, Trudi. Stay safe.
Thank you, lovely. Okay, bye. Bye.
If you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and ding the bell so you don't miss out on our future videos.